Hello everyone, welcome to today's video lecture of object-oriented programming using Java. The paper code is CS504A. This is Shayani Chandra, Assistant Professor of Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Guru Nanak Institute of Technology. Let's look at today's lecture contents. So today we are going to learn about the basic concepts of inheritance, its definition, what are the advantages of using inheritance in a Java program, what are the different types of inheritance available in object-oriented programming language as well as in Java. And then we are going to understand two different concepts associated with inheritance. The first one is a superclass variable can reference a subclass object, and then we will learn about super keyword and super method, and then we will do some example programs to make you understand how all these things can be implemented in a Java program. So let us start by understanding the basic concept of inheritance. As you can see, there is a picture on screen which depicts the inheritance concept inside a family. As we all know that we inherit the properties or the characteristics of our parents. They have inherited the characteristics of their parents. Similarly, our children will inherit all the properties from us or characteristics from us, and this will go on. So, this is what we call a family hierarchy or inheritance concept in family, where we can see that generations after generations will inherit the characteristics that are there inside their parents, and this concept will go on. So the same concept when applied in a Java program is known as inheritance, of course. Now the same concept can be applied in a Java program in between two or more classes. So there are many types of inheritance available in object-oriented programming languages and Java also. So let's start with the basic definition of inheritance, which says that when one class acquires the properties or characteristics of another class, then this relation in between them is known to be inheritance in an object-oriented programming language. As Java is also an object-oriented programming language, so this inheritance property holds in Java programs also. The main advantages of using inheritance is that the feature code reusability can be implemented. This feature is there in object-oriented programming languages. So this feature of OOP can be implemented in a Java program by using inheritance, because one class inherits the properties of another class. So all the properties of another class which is being inherited into another class don't need to be written once again. That means the codes which are written in one class can be reused inside another class which will inherit that class. So this is the feature of code reusability, which is very much efficient to use because you don't need to write the same code again and again. You can use the codes written in one class in many other classes if you implement the concept of inheritance. So this is the main advantage of using inheritance in a Java program, that we can use the code reusability feature of object-oriented programming language if we use inheritance in a program. Code reusability means that the code need not to be written again and again. You just need to write it once inside a particular class. And if you inherit that class, then automatically that code will come into your class. So this is one of the very important feature which makes the Java program much more easier to write. Now let's look at different types of inheritances that are available in an object-oriented programming language as well as in Java. So these are the types of inheritances or different types of inheritances that are available in any object-oriented programming languages. But Java doesn't support all of these. So let me explain each one of them one by one. Then I'll go into details about which are the inheritances that are supported by Java and which are not. And if not, then why. So the first one is simple inheritance. As I have just told that inheritance is basically nothing but inheriting the properties or characteristics of one class into another class. If we call it, if we define it technically, then this is the definition of inheritance available in any object oriented programming languages. Now, acquiring the properties or characteristics of a particular class means that we know that a class can have members. Members mean that they can have variables and they can have methods inside it. So the members that are there inside a class can be acquired by another class. So these are the properties or characteristics that a class can normally have, which are known to be its variables and its methods. So these members are being inherited into another class, and when this happens, we call it as inheritance. So in case of a simple inheritance, only two classes are involved. One which is being inherited and another one which inherits the properties or characteristics of another class. So let me draw it down. So if we want to draw simple inheritance, as we have just discussed, that it involves only two classes, one which will be inherited and another one which will inherit. So this diagram properly depicts the concept of simple inheritance, where you can see that the class A is being inherited. That means its properties or characteristics are being acquired by this B class, and this B class inherits the properties or characteristics of this A class. So the properties or characteristics mean in terms of variables or methods or the members that are there inside the A class. All of them will come into B class automatically, so that you can reuse them and you don't need to create any object in order to access the A class contents from inside B class. You can directly access them because the code reusability feature is being implemented by using this inheritance concept. So this is the diagram of simple inheritance, where only two classes are involved, one which is being inherited and another one which inherits another class. The class which is being inherited is known as superclass or parent class or base class, and the class which inherits another class is known as subclass or child class or derived class. So these are the three names of these two types of classes that I'll use in my lecture exchangeably. So this is the superclass and this is the subclass. So superclass is the one which is being inherited and subclass is the one which inherits the superclass. So this is the diagram of simple inheritance, where you have seen that only two classes are involved. Now let's go on to the next inheritance, which is multi-level inheritance. So let me draw it down first. So this is multi-level inheritance, where you can see that A is the extreme superclass, B is the immediate subclass of A. That means B has inherited the properties of A. C is the subclass of B. That means C inherits the properties of B. So here B acts as a subclass and a superclass also. When A is concerned, B is a subclass, and when C is concerned, B is superclass. So B will be subclass for A and B will be superclass for C. That means B inherits the properties of A, or B can have access to the members of the A class directly without any object. And C class can have the properties of the B class. That means the C class can use the members of B class without any object. That means we can say that this C class via this B class can access A class also. That means here A class becomes the grandparent of the C class, and C class becomes the grandchildren of A class. So here A class is the parent class, B class is the subclass, that means child class of A class, and C class is the grandchild class of A class, because C can access A also but via B. So here you can see that more than one levels are there. In the simple inheritance, you can see that only one level is there, only one arrow is there. That means only one level of inheritance is there. But in case of multi-level inheritance, you can see that two levels of inheritances are there. This is one level and this is another level, and this chain may go on. So you can create more number of subclasses also. As because there are more number of levels involved, this is known as multi-level inheritance, where you will see inheritance in more than one levels. Here also between A and B there is an inheritance, and here also in between B and C there is inheritance. That means inheritance is present in both the levels. That's why this is known as multi-level inheritance. So you can also draw another subclass of C, say D. This is also multi-level inheritance. Here three levels of inheritances are there, where C will act as a subclass for B and a superclass for D, and D is will act as the extreme subclass which will inherit C. Then via C it will inherit B, then via C and B it will inherit A, and this chain will go on. So this is known as multi-level inheritance. Now, the next one is multiple inheritance. Let me draw it down first. I'm drawing it here. So multi-level inheritance is basically only one subclass will be there, and for that one subclass, more than one superclasses will be there. Here you can see that two superclasses are there. Two is more than one. You can have three superclasses also, or you can have four superclasses also, but remember that you should have more than one superclasses. So I have drawn here two. You can have three or more also if you want to implement multiple inheritance. So here you can see that for more than one superclasses, only one subclass or child class is there. This concept is known as multiple inheritance. The term is multiple because one subclass can have multiple superclasses. That's why this inheritance is known as multiple inheritance. Now the next one is hierarchical inheritance, which is exactly opposite to the multiple inheritance. Let me draw it down first. So this is hierarchical inheritance, where you can see that for one superclass there can be more than one subclasses. That means the exact opposite concept of multiple inheritance is hierarchical inheritance. Here you have seen that one subclass will be there and more than one superclasses will be there. And in hierarchical inheritance you are seeing that only one superclass will be there, and for that one superclass more than one subclasses will be there. So here I have drawn two subclasses. You can draw more than two, that means three or four or five subclasses also. But remember that more than one subclasses should be there for a single superclass. So this is hierarchical inheritance, which looks kind of tree that you have already learned in data structure. So it's a tree-like structure. If you add more than two or more than three, four subclasses, then it will look like a tree-like structure. So hierarchical inheritance is also known as tree inheritance. The hybrid inheritance is the combination of multiple inheritance and hierarchical inheritance. Let me draw it down first. So this is hybrid inheritance, as I have just told that it is the combination of multiple inheritance and hierarchical inheritance. Here you can see that the upper part, that means this part, is the hierarchical inheritance, whereas the uh, lower part is the multiple inheritance. Let me point it out for you. So basically this part, that means the upper part, this part, This part is the hierarchical inheritance, as I have just explained here. This part looks same as this one. So this part is the hierarchical one, and the lower part, that means this part looks like the multiple one, that means this one, where we have seen that more than one super classes are there. So this is the multiple one. So basically, the combination of hierarchical and multiple inheritances is known as hybrid inheritance. So these are the five inheritances that are available in any object-oriented programming languages, and these can be applied to any object-oriented programming languages. But coming back to Java, only the first one, the second one, and the fourth one, only these three inheritances are available in Java. Let me point it out for you. The first one, which is simple inheritance, the second one, which is multiple inheritance, and the fourth one, which is hierarchical inheritance. Only these three inheritances can be implemented directly in a Java program. Multiple inheritance is not supported in Java. Obviously, there is a reason. So I'll explain the reason in the last lecture of this inheritance chapter. As because multiple inheritance is not supported, hybrid inheritance is also not supported, as because hybrid inheritance has the lower part, which is the multiple inheritance itself. So that's why hybrid inheritance is also not supported in Java, as because multiple inheritance is not supported. So we will learn the three inheritances that are available in Java first. Then we will learn why multiple inheritance is not supported by Java, and what are the other ways by which you can implement multiple inheritance in Java. So in today's lecture, I'm going to explain the simple inheritance, which is the first one, where only one superclass and one subclass are involved. So let me code it out for you. So this is a simple program which demonstrates the use of simple inheritance, how you can implement simple inheritance in a Java program. Here you can see that in this program there are three classes. One is A, which is the superclass, another one is B, which is the subclass, and the third one is the main class. So the superclass is A, which contains two instance variables I and j, and a method that will just print the values of these two variables. This is the subclass. Now, to implement inheritance in a program, to create a subclass from a superclass, Java uses this extends keyword. This extends keyword is used in order to indicate that B is the subclass of A. So whenever we write class B extends A, that means B will be the subclass which will inherit the properties or characteristics of the superclass A. So by using this extends keyword, we actually implement inheritance in a Java program. So whatever be the type of the inheritance, you have to use the extends keyword in order to achieve inheritance, or in order to create subclass in a Java program. Moving on, inside this B subclass, we can see that there is an instance variable which is defined inside its scope. Then there is a method display which will print the values of I, j, and k. Now here you can see that I and j both are instance variables of A class, and you are using it inside B class without any object. How is this possible? This is possible because B is the subclass of A. Now B has used the extends keyword after it in order to inherit the properties of A. As I have all explained that being inheriting the properties means that inheriting the class members. That means the A class has two instance variables and a method inside it. So B class will actually inherit these two instance variables and this method inside itself. That means B class can have access to ij and show method, ij variables and show method directly. So if you want to access ij and show method from inside B class, you can surely do it without any object. You don't need to create any object because B is the subclass. So these properties or characteristics of A class, more specifically the members of the A class, have been inherited into B, and as B has inherited A, so it can directly use I and J. No need to call them by using object of A class, or no need to define them again. So this is the code reusability feature which is being implemented in inheritance. So here you can see that you don't need to create any object of A class in order to call I and J from inside P, or you don't need to define I and J explicitly here inside B again. If you want to access it, you just call it using its name, and that's it. So this is the code reusability feature, which is very much important in a program. You don't need to write a code again and again. You just have to call it by its name. And this is the main class, because here inside it the main method is there. We have created the objects of both the classes, superclass and subclass. This sup ob is the object of the superclass A. Using this sup ob, we have given values into the two variables of the superclass, which are I and J, and the values that have been given are 10 and 20. Then the show method of the superclass has been called using the object. That means 10 and 20 will be the first output. Then the subclass object sub ob has been created, and using sub ob object we are again giving values into the two superclass variables I and J, which is very much possible because B has inherited the properties of A. So using the subclass object also, you can pass values into the instance variables of the superclass, and that will be perfectly okay. There will be no error in it. If you do it, then I and J, or more specifically the copies of I and J that have come into the subclass object sub ob, will be assigned with values 3 and 6. And k is the instance variable of B class itself, so we can easily give value into it using the subclass object sub ob, and the value given is 9. Then the subclass method display is being called using the sub ob object, which is the subclass object. That means the values of I and J and K will get printed, which will be 369. So this program will give you two sets of outputs, one for I and J, which will be 10 and 20, and another one for the subclass version of I, J and K, which will be 369. So just as I told, the two sets of outputs that we can see on screen are 1020 and 369. So this is how you can implement simple inheritance in Java. This is simple inheritance because only one superclass A is there and only one subclass B is there, and no other classes are there. Obviously, you have to write a main class in order to create the objects and call all these things. Now, one thing you can see that this portion, the highlighted portion of the code, is not actually needed, because I have used this portion in order to make you understand that you can also do this. That means you can also create a superclass object in order to pass values into its instance variables and to call its method. But if you want to pass values into the superclass variables only, then you can also do it using the subclass object. So if my aim is to pass some values into the superclass variables, and if my aim is to call the superclass method, just this much, then we can obviously do it using the subclass object, because subclass object can have access to the subclass members as well as the superclass members, because subclass has inherited the superclass. So you can also do it like this. So let me show it to you. I'm deleting this portion. Then I'm calling the superclass method before the subclass method by using the subclass object. So if my aim is to just assign some values into the superclass variables I and j and just call the show method in order to print those values on screen, then this much of code will be enough. You don't need to actually create the object of superclass in order to give values into the variables and to call the methods inside the superclass. You can also do the same things using only one object, which is the subclass object. So here is the output of the changed program, which shows you that when the show method is called, only I and j are printed, which are 3 and 6. And when the display method is called, I, j and k are printed, which are 3, 6 and 9. So moving on to the next topic of our today's lecture is a superclass variable can reference a subclass object. I have told you multiple times that type mismatch is not accepted in a Java language because Java is a strongly typed language. That's why type mismatch is not at all allowed. That means a particular object of a particular class cannot be applied for another class. So in that case, type mismatch will occur, which is not allowed in a Java program. That means a particular object will always act for a particular class. It can never act for another class. But an exception to this concept is there in case of inheritance, where you will see that a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object. So let me show it to you using a program. So this is a program that demonstrates how a superclass reference variable can be used to hold a subclass object. Here you can see that three classes are there. One is the superclass A, B is the subclass, and this one is the main class. So a simple inheritance is being implemented here in this program. So the A superclass has two variables. So this is the same program as I have just explained in when I have explained simple inheritance. So in this program, what I have done, I have added two more lines here in order to implement the concept that I was discussing. So these are the two instance variables of the superclass A, and this is the show method that will print the values of I and j. B is the subclass. We have used the extends keyword in order to implement simple inheritance. K is the instance variable of B class, and display method will print the values of I, j and k. This is the main class. Public static void main method is there. This one is the superclass object. Using the superclass object, we have given values into the two instance variables of the superclass, and the values that are given are 10 and 20. Then using the same object, we have called the superclass method show. Then after that, we have created a subclass object sub ob. Then using the subclass object, we have given values into all the three variables of this program, I, j and k, and the values that are given are 3, 6 and 9. And using the same object, the display method, which is the subclass method, has been called. So what happens after that is that there is an assignment kind of statement where we can see that the superclass reference variable is this one. Sup ob is the superclass reference variable, which has been made to assign sub ob into it. That means the sub ob is the object that is being referred by it, the subclass object that is being referred by this one. So this sub ob is actually referring to the subclass object because this is a subclass reference variable. So sub ob is referring to the subclass object, and what we are doing, we are taking a superclass variable, reference variable sup ob, in order to hold this subclass object. That means the subclass object that is being pointed to by the sub ob reference variable, which is the subclass reference variable, this object is being stored into the superclass reference variable sup ob. That means here lies the concept a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object. Let me write it down once again. Superclass reference variable. Here you can see that sup ob is the superclass reference variable which can hold the subclass object being pointed to by the subclass reference variable sub ob. So here a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object. Now, I have told you multiple times that type mismatch is not allowed in Java because Java is a strongly typed language. That means particular type of object is always associated with a particular type of class. It can never have the contents of another class. Um, but here you can see that a superclass reference variable is holding a subclass object. That means the superclass reference variable will get the contents of the subclass. That means 3, 6, and 9, which are the contents, which are the values that are being provided into the instance variables using the subclass object. So the superclass object will now have these values inside it. Although it seems to be impossible in Java, as because Java is a strongly typed language, but in inheritance it is pretty much acceptable, because if it is an inheritance concept, if there is a parent child relationship in between these two objects, then the type exchanges are very much possible. But remember that only a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object, but the opposite cannot be done in a Java program. That means the subclass reference variable cannot hold a superclass object. It can never be done. Only this way, where a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object. That means only one way it can be done, where you have to take a superclass reference variable and assign it with a subclass object. So here there is an exception that we have seen in case of the type mismatch concept. Here the type, although they are being mismatched, but because there is a parent child relationship, so you can perfectly do this. This is perfectly all right in Java. If you want to store a subclass object in a superclass reference variable, that is perfectly okay in Java, no errors in it. In this case, the superclass reference variable subob will get all the contents or all the values that have been passed into the instance variables of this program, which are I, j, and k, using the subclass object subob. And the values that are being passed are 3, 6, 9, and the subob reference variable will get all these values inside it. So whenever the show method will be called using the subob reference variable, after this statement is being executed, the show method will previously used to show 10 and 20 as the values of I and j. But now subob has been assigned with the object of subclass, which is being denoted using the subclass reference variable subob. So subob now contains the values 3, 6, 9. So this show method will give you the values of I and j as 3 and 6 instead of 10 and 20. So let me execute the program to show you the output. So as I have just told that the first show method, which is being called using the superclass object subob, will give you 10 and 20 as output. Next, the display method, which has been called using the subclass object subob, will give you 369 as output. And then after the superclass reference variable is being made assigned the subclass object, then using that superclass reference variable, when you call the show method, that will give you 3 and 6 as output. So this is how you can implement the concept of this one, where you have seen that a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object. Now the same concept can be implemented in two other ways also. So basically there are three ways to do the same thing. So now let me show you the other two ways how you can implement this concept. But before going into the other two ways, let me tell you one thing that I forgot to tell you, that the soup OP is holding the subclass object. That's for sure, because we have written this statement where the superclass reference variable subob is being made assign the subclass object which is being referred to by the subclass reference variable subob, and that's why subob has got all the values of the that have been passed into the instance variables using the subclass object subob, which are 3, 6, 9. But although it kind of works like a subclass object now, because it's getting all the values on that have been passed using the subclass object, but it's still a superclass reference variable that you have to keep in mind. That means as it is a superclass reference variable, it can never be used to access the subclass contents. That means if you want to access the subclass content, like the mm, subclass method, say the display method, say if you want to do it, that will give you an error. That's because of the reason that even if it is made to work like a subclass object, because it may seem to you that it's getting all the values that have been passed using the subclass object, so it has now become a subclass object. But although it works like that, but it's actually the superclass reference variable. The sup ob is still the superclass reference variable, and a superclass reference variable can never be used to access the subclass contents, because we have already told you that a subclass object can be used to access the superclass contents, but the vice versa is not true, because subclass inherits a superclass, superclass doesn't inherit subclass. So although subob is being made to work like a subclass object, but it's actually the superclass variable, so it can never access the subclass contents like the display method. Or if you want to access the k variable, which is the subclass variable solely using the subob object, that will also give you an error that I'll show you in the next program. But for this program, let me run this program to show you that this statement will give you an error, as because subob is still a superclass reference variable, and using a superclass reference variable we want to access the subclass method, which is not possible in Java. So let me compile and execute the program again. So here it is. You can see that it says cannot find symbol variable sup ob of type A. As I have just told that variable sup ob is a reference variable of A class. So using the A class reference variable, you can never access the subclass object, which is a subclass method, which is display. So it although it gets all the contents that have been passed using the subclass object, it is still a superclass reference variable. It may seem to you that it works like a subclass object as it has got all the values inside it, but it's actually not. It's the reference variable of the superclass. So if you want to access the subclass contents using the superclass reference variable, that's not going to work. That will surely give you error. Now let me show you the other two ways how you can implement the same concept. So this is the same program that has been modified slightly here in the shaded part. So this is the superclass A, which have the same thing inside it. So I'm not going to explain it anymore. This is the same subclass B, and the same contents are there inside it. So I'm not going to explain it anymore. So this is also simple inheritance, because here only one superclass and only one subclass are involved. And this is the main class. Inside it, the main method is there. We have created a superclass object sup ob1, and we have passed some values into the instance variables of the superclass using this object. And using the same object, we have called the superclass method also. So this method calling should give you the output as 10 space 20. Next, we have created a subclass object sub ob1, and using this object, we have given values into all the three variables of this program, I, j, and k, and the values are 369. And using the same object, we have called the display method, which is the subclass method. So the calling this method will give you the next output to be as 3 space 6 space 9. Next, we have written another statement, which is a normal object creation statement. It seems like a normal object creation statement, but it's actually not. Here you can see that the sub ob2 is the reference variable of A class, but the object that has been created here is of the B class. So this is the line where the same concept is being implemented, which says superclass reference variable. Let me write it down for you once again. So this is the statement where the same concept is being implemented. So this is another way how you can implement the same concept. The object that is being created is of the B class, but the reference variable that is being used is of the A class. So the concept is actually same. Here we are using the superclass reference variable in order to hold a subclass object, which is being done using this part new B. And now using the superclass reference variable, we have put the same values into the instance variables of the superclass, which is 7. And then using the same object, we have called the show method of the superclass that should give you 7 space 7 as output. So let me compile and run this program for you. Let me compile it first. So this is the compilation statement which went successfully, and then it is the execution statement. So just as I told that the first output will be 10 space 20, the second one is 3 space 6 space 9, and the third one is 7 space 7. Now let us go back to the program again. So here also the same concept is applied, which says that the sup ob2 is working like the subclass object, because here in this shaded portion, the subclass object is being actually created in memory. But it may look like that this sup ob2 is actually working like a subclass object, but even though it's actually working like a subclass object, but it's still a reference variable of the superclass. So using this reference variable, you can, if you want to put value into the subclass instance variable k, if you want to put the same value that you have put inside ing into k using the superclass reference variable sup ob2, that's going to give you an error for sure. So let me execute the program to show you that this statement, this one, is going to give you error. So here is the error. It says that cannot find symbol variable sup ob2 of type A. Just as I told that sup ob2 is the reference variable of A class, so it cannot have access to the subclass reference variable K. So it's giving you error. And the same concept will go for the display method also. If you want to access the display method using this sup ob2 reference variable, which is of class A, that also is going to give you error, just like the previous program. So there is another way how you can implement this concept. So let me show you that way now using a program. So this is the third version of the same concept. We have already learned how the same concept can be applied using two different ways. So this is the third way how you can implement the same concept. The same program is there, only the change is in this shaded part. So I'm not explaining in detail because this program also implements simple inheritance. This is the superclass. These are the contents of the class. This is the subclass. These are the contents of the class, and this is the main class. This is the main method. Inside it, the superclass object has been created. These are the two variables that have been assigned with these values 10 and 20 using the superclass object sup ob1. This is the subclass object sub ob1. Using it, we have assigned 369 into the three variables of this program, I, j, and k. Then what we are doing, we are taking a reference variable like this. So you know that this is the first step of creating an object where you declare a reference variable like this, and its type is the class itself. And this declaration looks similar to a normal variable declaration in Java or any other programming languages. So here we have declared a reference variable R, which is of the superclass A. And then what we are doing, R equal to sup ob1. That means this one. What we are doing, we have written R equal to sup ob1. Now you can see that sup ob1 is the object of the superclass, and R is the reference variable of the superclass. So no type mismatch is there. If you use the R reference variable to call the show method, then this show method will be called with these two values, 10 and 20. So this show method, by calling this show method using this R reference variable, will give you 10 and 20, because this reference variable is now referring to the superclass object. The reference variable is also of the superclass, the object is also of the superclass, so no type mismatch is there. Now what I am doing, I am writing R equal to sub ob1. So this is the statement where the same concept is being applied. Let me write it down for you once again. So this is the statement where you can see that the same concept is being applied, because R is the reference variable of the superclass and sub ob1 is the object of the subclass. So this is the sub ob1 reference variable which is pointing to the subclass object. So in this statement, we have implemented the same concept, this one. Now using this R, if you call the show method, then it should give you 3 space 6 as output instead of 10 space 20. Let me show it to you. So as I have just told that 1020 should be the first output and 36 should be the second output. Coming back to the program, as R is the reference variable of the superclass, so using R, you can never call the subclass method, which is display. If you want to print the values of I, J, and K, all of them, then you have to call the display method. If you want to call the display method, then you have to call it using sub ob1, not using R, because R is a reference variable of A class. So R cannot be used to call the display method, which is a method of the subclass. This cannot be done. If you want to do it, then this statement is going to give you error for sure. That's what I have explained in the previous two ways of implementing this concept. Let me show this output once again to you. So here you can see that the same error is being displayed, variable R of type A, and you want to access a subclass method using it, which is not possible in Java. The same thing will happen if you want to access this K variable using this R. That also will give you error. So if you want to still access K, and if you want to print the values of I, J, and K by calling this display method, that thing you have to do here using the sub ob1 object like this. Then there will be no problem. So let me comment it out. Now let's execute the program. So it's perfectly okay now. The first output should be 10, the first output should be for this display method calling, which will be 369. The next one should be for this one, which will be 1020. And the third one should be for this show method calling, which will have access to these two values, 3 and 6 again. So just as I told, the first output should be 369, second one 1020, and the third one is 36. So the three ways we have learned today in order to implement this concept, a superclass variable can reference a subclass object. This concept along with method overriding is very much useful in order to implement the concept of runtime polymorphism in Java. You have already learned about the compile time polymorphism while learning the method overloading concept. Only other part which is remaining in case of polymorphism is the dynamic one. You have already learned about static one, which is the compile time polymorphism. Now we will learn the dynamic polymorphism. which can be implemented by using this concept along with the method overriding concept. The method overriding concept we will discuss in the next lecture. Now, as we are running out of time, so I'll skip this slide for today's lecture. I'll explain this slide in the next lecture, where you will see the importance of super keyword and super method in a Java program. So in today's lecture, you have learned about the basic concepts of inheritance, and we have also learned how a superclass reference variable can hold a subclass object even if Java is a strongly typed language, and although the types are being mismatched, but an exception which is always there in case of inheritance, whenever there is a parent-child relationship, you can surely assign a subclass object into a superclass reference variable, and that will work perfectly without any error. Thank you for listening to today's lecture. See you in the next lecture.